said, I lead Ghost Walks in Old Town St. Helens. Today we are going to be kind of doing that on a abbreviated version. St. Helens, Oregon is a nice little port town on the Oregon side here. We have got famous for a lot of different things. One thing we are famous for is the movie from Disney Channel, Halloween Town, filmed in downtown St. Helens. I was actually able to watch them film it. We were also known for another big one, Twilight. A lot of Twilight was filmed in St. Helens. You can still go to all the locations. We tend to do that on our Ghost Walks. There's also another movie that was filmed in St. Helens that is yet to come out. Spirit of Halloween Town. It is a documentary. You might recognize this guy. He's in it. Don't know why. He's got a goofball. But we are mostly well known for the Spirit of Halloween Town Halloween festivities that takes place in September and October. And within that, we do our Old Town Ghost Walks. So I am going to give you some of the highlights, the pointers, the good stuff that we do on our walk. Now, when you talk about St. Helens, you've got three different families I'm going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about the Muckles, the McCormicks, and the Ross brothers. These are going to be influential people that are going to play a part in the grander story. There is a family feud between the Rosses and the McCormicks, and the Muckles and the McCormicks. The McCormicks were not a very well-liked family. Now, when we talk about haunted St. Helens, normally we like to talk about the Klondike. Klondike being the crown jewel, we love it. It's the most haunted location in St. Helens. It is 4 floors of ghosts, wall to wall, back to back. But unfortunately today, we are not talking about the Klondike. We're talking about the other haunted locations and the wonderful things that happen within those. So a few things about St. Helens that we need to get through. First and foremost, it was founded in 1847. There was a fire in 1904 that took down everything in downtown. And that fire is actually going to play a part of some of our characters. So the first stop on our wonderful tour of ghostly St. Helens is the site of the gallows. So, July 2nd, 1902, August Shreve was hung from this location. So here's some newspaper clippings and the article so you can actually see what August Shreve looked like. But to get into August Shreve's backstory on what led him to that fateful day on July 2nd, 1902, we need to have the background. On December 28th, 1901, Joseph Schulkowski's body was found on the road up to the Shreve household. He had been shot and his money had been taken. The sheriff at the time, Robert Houghton, had decided that because of the evidence on the site, Augustus' horse had a misshapen hoof. So they had noticed that one of the hoof prints around the body of Joseph had matched that horse. Joseph also had a very unusual shotgun. It had a the wear pattern on the bullets matched the gun identically. And it was a weird gun. It had a slight deviation on the inside of the barrel, so they were able to match it. Later on, the police came. They arrested August. It was a very long trial. The entire time, August had said, I am innocent. I did not do this. I have no clue about this. The reason they went to August, besides the fact of the gun and the horse, is because August and Joseph were roommates. And they had apparently had argued in one of the local bars. So with August being the prime suspect, he He was convicted on May 1902, and they sentenced him to hang in the only execution that St. Helens has ever had. 200 people were invited to watch him swing from the gallows. Among those were his uncle, who stood up on the gallows with him. His father watched from the side alleyway. They asked him, "Was there anything you would like to say before 12 noon, before we pulled the switch?" August said, "I feel no hatred towards anyone. I forgive you all. May you live a fruitful life. May we see each other on the other side." At 12 noon, Sheriff Robert Bouton pulled the switch. August was pronounced dead shortly afterwards. Now, what makes this a horrible incident is the fact that August Shreve's father, John, on his deathbed 5 years later, spilled the beans and said, "I am the one who killed Joseph. I am the one who took my son's horse. I am the one who took the money." John let his son hang for his crimes. Now, since we do the ghost tours, one year for Spirit of Halloween Town, we had a booth up. And it's quite near the area of where he was. And we're running spirit box sessions. We're telling the story to people that are coming by our booth. And the K2 meter starts to light up. We turn on the spirit box. We're trying to show people how it works. Through the magic of AI, we're going to try to do some recreations of what they would have looked like. But the one thing we got with August that was heartbreaking to hear: "Why, Dad, why?" It's the same voice that came through only one time, and it was very sad. It was very sad and begging to know, "Why, Dad, did you let me die?" August is still in that location. Other teams have gone there and they've gotten hanged. They've gotten "Why, Dad, why?" So we're not the only team who've gotten "Why, Dad, why?" August was never truly pardoned for his crime, even after the father had exonerated him on his deathbed. We feel that August is still there, and on our Ghost Walk, we take you to the exact spot, and we try to converse with August as we tell the story. As always, we like August's participation in our walk, so at this point, we would say, "Why, John, why?" And the whole crowd would ask, "Why, John, why?" And we'd say that John is the Father of the Year for 1902, as we're not being 100% serious. He's not the Father of the Year. That's not cool to have that happen. The next stop on our buildings is the Masonic Lodge. It was built in 1913. It was a Mason Lodge until 1975. Now, we have been able to investigate this building on many, many occasions. This is one of our flyers from 2018. At that point, it was not called the Old Town Ghost Walk. This is a picture of the upstairs as it stood in, I believe it was 52. So it was a meeting hall and a lunch bouquet. Here's a picture of the main meeting hall as it still looks today, but this is obviously from the 50s. Now, the interesting thing about this investigation when we were upstairs is the shadow figure that was following us around. So we've got a group of 20 people. We're upstairs in the Grand Lodge area. And as we're walking around, one of the ladies in my group says, there's somebody standing across from us. So as we're in the main hallway, there's a door on the far side. There's a shadow figure over there. We have our security officer, who is a Mason, happen to go over there. He takes a look, he's trying to figure out what is going on. As the group moves around the ground hall, the shadow figure is moving around us on the backside. We go up to the central viewing area, and this is where everybody sees the shadow figure downstairs on the main stage for the main guys would sit. We happened to ask our Mason fellow, our security, we said, hey, what's going on here? He goes, well, this is a Mason hall. Masons are a men's only group. We have women with us, and this is their hall. This is probably a Mason who's getting upset that you brought women into our area. At this point, we excused the women to go downstairs for drinks and snacks. We kept the guys upstairs. Our security officer, I said, could you go over? This is a Mason. Could you maybe try to tell them that it's okay for us to be here? You don't have to say anything that you can't say, outside of the Masons. And, he went over to where we had seen the figure, and he said a few words. He didn't tell me what they were. He just said, I just said some Mason stuff. So understands, I'm a Mason. We're supposed to be here. Everything's cool. The following year, we were able to do the downstairs area. This is where we got a lot of activity. One of the favorite things we've got, and the building right now is a haunted house, and we tell everybody this one. So, she's a little girl, her name is Wendy. She's a little darling. It was late one night, we're getting ready to wrap up the whole entire thing for the night. We're going over EVPs, we're doing the wrap up. One of my guys decides, hey, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, we're going to tell some bad dad jokes. Everybody kind of gives a half-hearted laugh. Ha, ha, ha. Oh, yeah, that's funny. From the back of the building, we hear a little girl die laughing. This is the funniest thing she has heard. And everybody stops, and we're all looking back there. We're like, okay, well, there's no little kids on this tour, so why is there a little child laughing? We had security go around the back of the building. Maybe there's somebody in the back alleyway that's playing around at 1 o'clock in the morning, but why is there little kids at 1 o'clock in the morning outside? We got nothing. We couldn't find anybody sitting around. So the next night we come in really extra early. We have spirit boxes set up. Before we even had any tours going for that night, we asked, hey little girl, would you like to talk to us? We get, my name is Wendy, in a little girl's voice, very sing-song, my name is Wendy. So for about 45 minutes before our tour, we're talking to this little girl. She loves to play. She's very happy she's there. Everything's fine. She's not aware that she's really passed on. She loves the dad jokes, so my friend who was doing the dad jokes decided to stay back. Here's a picture of her hallway. So he stood in the doorway and told bad dad jokes. And for probably a good 25 minutes of him being by himself, she was laughing at everything. This was the funniest thing she's heard in a while. Bad dad jokes, figured. Now, as we're telling the story to our people, to our tour groups, and I tell them, if you go through the haunted house and you say hi to Wendy, she might respond. Now, it's a haunted house, so there was no actors, just animatronics. So Friday night, I tell them, go through, say hi to Wendy, she'll appreciate it, see if anything happens. following night, this woman comes back to me. She says, we were walking through the haunted house. I'm deathly scared of spiders. In the haunted house is a room of spiders. It's all cobwebs, fake spiders. She says, my daughter is on my right-hand side holding my hand. I start to freeze up. I don't want to walk anymore. She goes, something small grabs my left arm and starts to pull me through the room. She goes, it felt like a little tiny hand helping me along to get me through my fear. And I said, that was probably Wendy. She knew you were scared. She's helping you out. That's what she does. She's a very helpful little girl. The following weekend, we had another group come through. I tell the same group, same thing. If you go through the haunted house, say hi to Wendy, see if you get any response. Mind you, there are no actors in this haunted house. It is just static props. There are no recordings that say hi. There's no little girl recordings that say hello. Husband and wife through the haunted house the next day. They get to the area, they say, hi, Wendy, and the husband decides this isn't real. This is just an animatronic. This is something. So they say, hi, Wendy. Hi. The wife loses it, decides, you know what, we're done. We don't need to do any more of this haunted house. The husband decides, no. This is just an animatronic. It's a trip plate. It's a trip wire. It's something. There's something going on that when you're going to stay here, it's going to happen. So, the wife remembers. Before she runs out of the haunted house, she remembers bad dad jokes. So she convinces her husband, tell a bad dad joke. Let's just see if we get anything. He doesn't remember what he said, but it was a bad dad joke. Again, we get laughter. That is where they both decided, you know what, we're done. We are done. We are finished. We're done with this haunted house. They told the owners, yeah, listen, we don't know what you got back there, but whatever it is, it's scary. We talked to the owners a little bit later on, and they're like, yeah, I don't know what you're telling people, but, you know, we've got these things that echo you back, but we don't have that. I'm like, I just told them you have a little girl ghost. All right, now this one, we have 3 different ghosts down in the downstairs area. This is going to be kind of a 2-parter because of who he is. His name is Fred. Now, we were wondering who Fred was for the longest time. He's a friendly guy. He's very protective over Wendy. But he's also very friendly towards everybody else. So when we're doing our investigations, Fred is very forthcoming. He was very... He'll help you with anything. If you need something, you know, hey, Fred, could you turn on a light for us? Oh, yeah, sure thing, yeah. You go down the K2 meter. Hey, Fred, could I get you to turn to red for the people? By all means, he's got that K2 just going to red. He's a friendly guy. We did a little bit more searching. And we lost the slide. Okay, well, I'll just, I got notes. Just gotta go by it. So Fred was a deckhand on a tugboat. So we gotta go to March 29th. Yep, we're back. You know what? It's not a D.B.K speech unless there's chaos and problems. All right, there we go. Finally got it going. So we got to talk about the Swan. So Fred was a deckhand on the boat, the tugboat Dix, D-I-X. I know it sounds dirtier than it is. This is D-I-X. So the Swan leaves Portland, Oregon. It's a pleasure craft. It's a barge. There's a lot of singing, a lot of dancing. It's on its way on March 29th to go to Longview for the dedication of the bridge. After midnight, it's coming through St. Helens. It's foggy. The little lighthouse we have isn't working for some reason. There was no light. There was no horns going. The tugboat Dix ran into it. And what you can see is some of the damage. And oddly enough, this is a picture of it leaving Portland. When the two boats collided, 7 people ended up losing their life. Fred was one of them. He was at the bow of the tugboat when it smashed into the Swan. Now, oddly enough, his body was never recovered. But all the survivors were brought on to the shoreline and taken to one of the businesses to get warm and to be fed and be checked. Now, the Masonic Lodge is where the dead bodies that were recovered were stored. Why Fred decided to go there, we're not 100% sure. But there were 2 people on the Dix that had lost their life in the initial crash. And maybe Fred just, because it was a lot of Fred's family. It was his dad, he was his uncle, he was his younger brothers. And his uncle passed away, and he had passed away with his crash. So maybe his spirit latched onto his uncle's body and decided, I'm going to go with my uncle, I'm going to go with my family. But the uncle doesn't haunt the place, Fred does. So there's a little bit of the damage of the Swan. It's kind of a little side note, we're just going off a little tangent. Now we've got Richard, the third and final spirit of the downstairs area. Now, we all know what Richard, the short version is for names. Well, Richard is not a nice guy. If my cohort was here, he would probably agree with me because he had an altercation with Richard one night during one of our investigations. Richard, okay, where the Masonic building sits now used to be a poor farm. In the fire in 1904, it burned down the poor farm. It burned down the building and the outbuildings. Richard did not want to leave his home, so he ended up dying in the fire. He is very angry. One, this is his home. What are you doing here? 2, why are you talking to the little girl? You don't need to be talking to the little girl. Just let her be. He's just not a nice guy. Very protective though. While we were doing this, and I don't have the video, it got lost. We had 2 puppets up on our stage while we're doing our introductions. And we get to talking about Richard. And my friend makes a snide remark about Richard, and the 2 puppets that were up there leaning against one of our cases decided they were going to fly across the room. Everybody saw it. It was a very quick throw. We looked at that and went, okay, this is Richard telling my friends, knock it off, dude. You're in my home. All right, so now we've kind of brought you down a little bit. We talked about the father letting his son hang for his crime. We've talked about people getting killed in crashes. Now I'm going to give you guys a bit of a love story. We got to bring you up. We got to bring the mood up a little bit. We're all down. So this is the McCormick building. We talked a little bit about the McCormick family. I'm going to backtrack just a second. So after the fire in 1904, a lot of the businesses that were on the port, a lot of the dock workers, they didn't have fire insurance. The McCormick brothers came up from San Diego and they would build ships. They ended up buying up all the waterfront property for cheap. Well, Out of these, you had Hamlin McCormick. Hamlin McCormick, he ends up finding this beautiful woman named Nellie. Nellie loves to dance. So what does Hamlin do? He builds her this building in 1921 for the sole purpose. The upstairs area is called the Blue Rose Room. It is her personal dance hall. The bad thing is, Hamlin passes away in 1938. Nellie decides she's going to continue having these grand balls, these dances. This is the place to be if you are high elite in St. Helens in the 30s. These dances go on for hours and hours. This Blue Rose Room has been built out of love. It is exactly what she wants out of a room. Well, the Blue Rose Room stays open until 1940, because at that point, she's by herself, because Hamlin has passed away in 1938. City officials have come in and told her, you gotta put in a fire escape in the back. So they say, okay, this grand arch you have back here, we need you to take that out, put in a fire escape, and then you can continue having your balls, dances, your parties. Nellie says no. I'm just going to shut the whole thing down. I'm not going to ruin my ballroom. So in 1940, she shuts the whole place down. Nellie ends up living until 1974 in their own park environment. So if you go to St. Helens City, there's a place called McCormick Park that used to actually be their home. Now, here's where the love story takes effect, because I got to give you something good. So the spirits that are still seen in the building today, Hamlin and Nellie are still dancing. People that live in the upstairs apartment building have heard ballroom music. And if you are down on the street level, at certain times of the night, you can see two people dancing away. So the lovebirds have been reconnected in the afterlife. They are still dancing, they're still having fun, they are connected together. And there's your love story. So now we brought you up a little bit, we got your love story, brought your hopes down in the beginning, brought you back up a little bit. Now I might bring you down a little bit more. Now we got to talk about the other family in St. Helens, the one that had pre-establishment before the fire, the Muckle House. Charles Muckle lived here. He built it in 1910. Him and his brother were the shipping magnates before the fire. They controlled lumber. They controlled the rocks, because we have a large granite deposit up there that we have been using to build the houses and stuff after said fire. The fire in 1904 kind of wiped them out. They didn't have fire insurance. Kind of a conspiracy. Sure, it has nothing to do with anything current. But, so Charles is upset. He's angry with the McCormicks because he needs to get his business back up and running. McCormick's give him such a good deal. Hey, listen, we understand you got nothing going on here. Your docks are burned down. Your rail lines are damaged. Let us buy it from you. We'll give you it on cost so that you can rebuild your empire another way. Charles's brother decides, yeah, you know what, we're going to do that. We need money. We need to get out of this. We can't operate the boat, the docks anymore. So he takes a settlement. Charles is not happy with this one. Now, the family feud starts. Charles Muckle does not like his picture being taken, so I don't have an actual recreation. All I have is the AI version of what he looks like through his pictures, from his descriptions. Here's another picture of the house. It's very iconic. Problem with the house. Here's a picture of us during the tour. So here's kind of what we've got Charles Muckle looking like through AI and physical descriptions of him. Charles Muckle, though, met a very horrible end. Charles Muckle, the Muckles built a building next to the Klondike, which I know we said we weren't going to talk about the Klondike, because of the fact that the Klondike was a McCormick establishment, and they built that right across from Charles Muckle's house. Charles Muckle, April 27th, 1916. He leaves his office building, which, if you come and take the tour in October, we will show you what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, the Muckle brothers built their building 8 feet away from the McCormick's hotel. Now, anybody that knows hotels, you pay more for the view. I'm not saying there was a family squabble, but the fact of the matter is, if you go to the Klondike, if you look between the Klondike and the McCormick building, all the prime views of the river, only look at a big brick building. The Muckles did not decorate it. It is ugly, it is brick, and it is facing right into those hotel rooms. I'm not saying that there's a big FU to the McCormicks, but you can kind of see the fact that there is a lot of animosity between the two families. So Charles leaves his office at the Muckle building, April 27, 1916. His path home has to take him in front of the Klondike to get to his house. As he's having lunch, he starts having chest pains. Now, he was very fit, he was very healthy. So a conspiracy that maybe this is why he passed away? Well, they call his family doctor, who is Edwin Ross. So now we got the Ross brothers. Edwin comes down to the house. They are unable to save him. Charles ends up passing away upstairs in his bedroom. This is kind of a recreation through AI of what people have been seeing from the street level. They've seen Charles Muckle staring at the window, glaring at the Klondike. The Klondike was a McCormick establishment. Next up on the block, the Morgus building, built in 1912. The significance of this one is after the fire of 1904, the Morgus brothers, not as influential as the other brothers, decided, well, everyone's building their places out of brick and rock. We're going to do it first. Because that way, if there's another fire, we don't have to do anything. We'll be safe. So it was Henry Morgus who built the place. It was run as a general store for a bunch of years. It is currently a restaurant right now in the apartment building. Things that have been seen in this one. The current owner says she has seen something hanging around. It's an older gentleman, just seems to be watching. A lot of the ex-employees that I have talked to have talked about the illegal card game going on in the back that's still going on today. The Morgus building, aside from being the general store for all the general dock workers, was also a hotbed for illegal gambling, ladies of the night, moonshining, I'm not saying it was an illegal place to be, but it has its tainted history. Now we're going to move on to a couple more cool places. This is the City Hall in St. Helens. Now, we're going to be talking about the Ross brothers. Well, in 1908, after the fire, and the Muckles have gone under, and the McCormicks are having issues with their businesses, the Rosses say, you know what, we want to do something of our own. We want our own business. But, yeah, shipbuilding's kind of going downhill. We don't really want to haul lumber. We don't really want to ship granite. What can we do? Well, they got into banking. You always need a bank. Now, the interesting thing about the Ross brothers, Edwin Ross, as we said, was a doctor. He was very high profile in the town. His brother, on the other hand, I love talking about E.A. Ross. It's just a wonderful resume this man has. If Uncle Bob passed away on Thursday, you would take Uncle Bob to E.A. Ross and you would say, hey, I need him embalmed. I need a casket. Oh, hey, can I get a dining room set? Because E.A. Ross also built furniture. Okay, so I need you to imagine you walk into a shop, you got your dead uncle, you want him embalmed, and the guy has a full wear of household. Hey, you want some chairs? Want a table? Want a dresser? I can make you anything. What else do you need? So E.A. Ross was very well known for doing all these random ass things of, okay, well, I'm going to embalm your guy. I'm going to get him ready. I'm going to build the casket. I'm going to build you a table set. You want a dresser? You want a hutch? A foot locker? Which is kind of weird because when you think about it today, in today's day and age, you take someone to a mortician and that's all they do. They just handle the dead body. This E.A. Ross was very much into everything that he could get. Now, we are the only paranormal team to have been allowed in the City Hall to investigate. We've been there 5 different times. As I like to say, even though half the joke doesn't work anymore, my sister-in-law works for City Hall. She works for the city, so we have an in there. The other part of the joke that no longer works is I used to say, well, my cousin's the mayor of St. Helens. I get easy access. He lost the election, so I can't use that joke anymore. So that would be pretty much the last time that my sister-in-law works for City Hall, my cousin's the mayor. And everybody goes, oh, so that's why you're getting into these buildings. Yeah, it's partial. Now, the spirits we found in City Hall, we've got an unknown girl. She's about 8 years old. Why do we say she's unknown? Because she does not like men. She absolutely has a distrust of men. This slide is her room. This is where we find her a lot. It's upstairs at the end of this hallway. Now, the interesting thing about the end of that hallway is that is where Edwin Ross had his office. So we don't know if there was something going on. But every time we've gone up to her room to try to talk to her, what has to happen on this one is the men have to excuse ourselves. And the women stay upstairs and talk. But she doesn't ever tell who she is. She's still a little mistrusting. She says words like play, doll, run and hide and seek. She's very sociable to the ladies. Now, I said my sister-in-law works for City Hall. My sister-in-law has started bringing in things to put on her desk. So her desk is just down the hall from this. Well, our little girl here is a little OCD. Sister-in-law will leave her office on a Friday. Her desk will have pens in a random order. Things will be kind of a little unkempt. It's Friday afternoon. You've had a hard week. My sister-in-law says it herself. I'm not worried about my desk being clean. Nobody goes up there. The pens are kind of out of order. Things are out of whack. I don't care. She comes in Monday mornings. Every pen is lined up according to size and color. Every stack of paper is perfectly organized, arranged. So my sister-in-law started bringing in some of my niece's old toys, leaving on her desk. All the toys on Monday morning would not be on the desk anymore. They'd be in the corner of the room. Balls would be played with. It kind of looked like things were been moving around. But my sister-in-law, she's like, yeah, I walk in the building, I say hi to her, we still don't know her name, she's still building up that trust level. But she does like to decorate my sister-in-law's desk. She likes to organize it. Little bit OCD though. My sister-in-law is not OCD. She goes, I don't want my pens organized by color. I don't need my highlighters organized by the rainbow. Now, this wonderful, happy person, we don't know her name. She's a former bank employee, though. We know this much. We were setting up for the investigation one night, and we went towards the old bank area. Well, she does not know it is current time. She still believes it's the time when she was an employee. The safe for the bank is still there. They still use it for storage. Well, as we're walking around, we're setting up cameras and audio recorders and trying to get ready for everything, we happen to walk into the room and she's sitting here staring at us. So I tried to recreate what she looked like from what we've seen. When we went to do digital recording, we were all huddled around and we're like, hey, listen, we're supposed to be here, it's okay, we've got permission. We played it back, and the voice that came through is legendary. So when we said, we're allowed to be here, we got, I guess, very distraught, very despondent, just, God, why? So we were trying to figure out, okay, well, why is she getting upset that we're here? We have permission. Well, in the city council chambers is an old picture of the bank. Where we were standing would have been on the other side of the counter. We were not customers. We were on her side of the counter. She was not happy with this work, which is why when we said we're allowed to be here, she got a little gruffy. Happy. Fine, I guess. Now, the man, the myth, the legend, E.A. Ross, we actually have a picture of him. The mortician, the all-in-one, you need a coffee table, you need a dresser, you need an club and balm, you need a casket, what else do you need? I'm your guy. He still haunts this place. Now, our encounter with him, I would have to say, is quite legendary. We were there, my brother does not believe in this stuff, and he decided he was going to challenge a ghost, which is what you never want to do, is challenge a ghost. So as my brother is sitting there saying, hey, I don't believe you're real, I don't know who you are, the spirit box came across with, you know who I am. Brother's still just poking the bear a little bit, he's like, this ain't real. This is a radio bleed through. I might pull Ryan, ask him his name. You've already upset him. My brother's like, there ain't nothing here. It's nothing. It's just radio silence. And he goes, fine. Are you E.A. Ross? Because this is a family affair, I will just hint that E.A. Ross came through, said, damn right, and told my brother how far he could go and on the horse that he can go, and how far they can go. It was not a friendly exchange. My brother has never liked going into City Hall after that. He actually called me up. He was going to the city council meeting, and he called me up at the house and said, every time I go in, I get sick to my stomach like someone's kicking me in my balls. I said, go in, apologize. It's been a few years, but go in, apologize to E. Ed Ross. I don't want to do that. There's a ghost. Are you real? Good, do it. Went in. I'm sorry, E. Sorry about that. He said every single time he's gone there, because this is his wife who works there, he takes lunch. Now he doesn't get sick. Now he doesn't have any issues. He still doesn't feel good about it. He's all right with it. Courthouse is the only building that the Muckles, the McCormicks, and the Rosses agreed to build on. This was built in 1906. It was after the fire. Three brothers, three families got together and said, you know what, St. Helens needs a beacon. We need one area that's not going to be in danger, and this is what we're going to build. We're going to build it out of all the rock and the granite that's coming out of the hillside. So they worked together one time to build this for the city. Now, my brother is a parole officer here, so I have been getting a lot of interesting, juicy tidbits from this. It's haunted, and this is going to tie. Everything on the walk ties together with the families. Everything in this conversation is going to tie. So we are going to tie straight to the front. It's a great shot. It looks great at night. All lit up. Halloween time. All love Halloween time. Now we got to go back to Sheriff Robert Bouton, who hung on the street. In 1903, Robert stepped down as sheriff. In 1913, he was elected as the city judge. So this is where we got the big tie-in. We start with the guy, we end with the guy. So November 19th, 1917, he's gone his way into work. He's in the upstairs courthouse, and luckily my brother got me some great shots of the area that he died in. I know, morbid, isn't it? But as he's climbing these stairs to go up to his courtroom, he has a massive heart attack and dies on these stairs. So, the interesting thing is, it's a working courthouse. They don't allow ghost teams in there. My brother is a parole officer here. So one Thanksgiving, my brother looks at me and says, hey, since you're coming over for dinner, why don't you bring some of your gear? Okay, why? You don't believe in this stuff? Yeah, just bring a case. Bring some stuff. We're going to go have some fun. I'm like, okay, well, it's Thanksgiving. We eat, just chilling around, watching the football game. My brother looks at me and goes, hey, you want to come with me to the courthouse? I forgot something in my office. Yeah, I guess. I've seen your office. I don't really want to see it again. No. Do you want to come to the courthouse just to see my office? Yeah, okay, I guess. Drive down, we leave Thanksgiving dinner. He goes, all right, we've got 20 minutes. Do your thing. Okay, you're not pressuring me at all here. I'm like, do we have permission? He goes, no. We got 20 minutes. Stay here, do your thing. That's where the guy died. I'm going to my office. I'll be right back. You got 20 minutes until they get curious on what you're doing. Okay. As I'm quickly doing what I have to do, we're getting EMF meter readings, we're getting EMFs, we're getting voices coming across the spirit box, and it's basically Robert Bouton. Well, basically he's yelling at me for being in a place I'm not supposed to be. I won't use the language that he was using, but he was very gruff. And why are you here? Are you on your way to court? I am dropping a lot of the F-bombs and everything else he was giving me. Yeah, so my brother's still working on it. They've actually been working on the downstairs area. Oh, I gotta tell this story real quick. So this used to be the old jail. Underneath on the basement level is 4 jail cells. Back in 1998, they had because it is still a working courthouse, they had some inmates come in, and when they are waiting their turn to see a judge, if they are violent, they go downstairs to the old jail cell. As the story goes, related to me by the officer at the time, he took this ward downstairs, locked him up in the cell, and said, listen, I'm going to come back for you. Your court is at 3. I've got to get you at 2. At 2 o'clock, he comes back down. This inmate is against the far corner. He has peed himself, and he is scared. He goes, this old man with a mustache reached to the bars, came down. The inmate's like, I thought he was coming to get me for the court. And he says, I'll see you hang. So apparently Robert is the hanging judge. And the last one that we got is a woman in white. Now, my brother, not being a believer, is starting to slowly come around to that one because he has seen this woman peek her head into his door from time to time and ask, do you need help with anything? My brother's just doing his job. He's reading his files, he's got his court things, he's got a court case. Oh, yeah, no, I'm fine. Wait a minute. She's already gone. Other people in the office have also been on record of seeing this woman in white walk around asking, do you need help with anything? As we were setting up to do one of our walks one night, we were doing just a quick practice run. We went down there and we're in front of the courthouse, we're doing our deal. And as we're sitting there, and I've got another paranormal team that's learning from us, they're watching, and one of them looks up and goes, hey, there's a woman up in that window. And it was a woman in a white dress looking out at us. I recently found out after I finished the slideshow that we figured out who she is. She is an ex-employee. She passed away in 1989. She was very helpful. She loved her job. She loved being there. So we feel as if she is still wandering around. So that's 152. So is there any questions?